Here's a video that nobody expected or wanted. It's Oasis. It's my tier list. And me talking about their reunion and all that fun stuff. Boy, so as an American, Oasis has never been a huge part of, like, daily life here, like it is overseas. So you'll be getting my perspective as someone who only knew a little bit of Oasis until probably the 2000s. I have some tweets I want to show you from Liam, including my favorite, where he calls his brother a potato. Huh. That image didn't really work, did it? I mean, you can kind of still see it. Good enough. But yeah, he's been calling his brother a potato for years, so I was surprised that this even happened. These guys really don't like each other that much. And Liam seems like he flies off the handle very easily and tried to attack Noel with his guitar at one point, and then Noel just left. So that was like 15 years ago. And I've never seen Oasis live, but I did see Noel Gallagher live twice. So let's clear the air here. They're both kind of assholes. I mean, they were in the news all the time for being assholes. Either to each other, or to other bands, or just to, like, everyone. And it worked. I mean, they ended up with a lot of fame. I mean, I would imagine there's a lot of people that don't realize how big this band was, and continues to be. I mean, this reunion's already sold out, and they're adding more dates. And I think the reason that they became such a massive band is there was just this desire for this type of music. After all the grunge stuff, there was good songs, whether or not you like them, catchy. And there was an attitude. There's a lot of stuff that I didn't get when I was younger. I knew Champagne Supernova. I knew Don't Look Back in Anger and Wonderwall, because that's the ones they showed. And I thought, well, I guess that's it for Oasis. We got 3 songs. And then I found out, no, they're huge, and they have some great albums. We'll talk about them. And I would also say that I've had to defend me liking Oasis, because you get shit for liking them here in the States. And, you know, to a degree, they've been a guilty pleasure. So if you're not into Oasis, you think they suck, you don't like them as people, you don't like that they've borrowed some tunes, I get it completely. However, I do like some of their music, as you will see in this tier list. First, though, I want to read some tweets from Liam. So here's Liam replying to Noel's tweet about his song Dream On. Rubbish, you shit selfish tosser. You know, stuff like that. Here's another one that doesn't work. It's kind of interesting how this happens, isn't it? But it's like, why are you such a massive to Noel Gallagher? Liam, think of your poor old ma'am. Her heart will be breaking. She asked me to ask him. You know, stuff like that. Wow. I don't know why these images aren't working. But only you are missing in this photo. The Wiggles. Here's the... Yeah. You got one here. Last chance to ask Noel anything about the last 10 years. Why are you such a massive... You know. Music in the UK has been abducted by massive... The end, LG. Are you excited for Greta Van Fleet's new album to come out on Friday? She's amazing. I love her work, especially for climate change. Yeah, so... Yeah. A lot of amusement here. Liam, I think, just likes to say whatever comes to mind. Doesn't even matter if it makes sense or if it's going to end up, you know, a problem. He just says it. He's insane. Just insane. So I'm shocked that this reunion happened. Well, I guess 40 million per person, you know, probably is why it happened. Somewhat. It's going to be huge. It's going to be huge. And I do think they have good songs to back it up. I really do. So I'll show you. Here's my tier list for Oasis. Now, like I said, I knew those 3 songs, but I didn't know their full albums. I didn't buy their albums. I think I listened to Definitely Maybe and What's the Story Morning Glory like 10 years after they came out. So I knew some songs, and then I heard a couple that I downloaded from LimeWire. And then I heard some stuff in some movies, and I realized, oh, they do have a lot of good songs that aren't just those 3. So we'll start with, I think, pretty clearly the best one is Definitely Maybe, their first album. This is one of those albums that just kind of came together, like it's their first album, and it's probably their best, because everything here just feels like pure. Even if the pure is ripping off some other stuff here and there is an attitude to this album. There's good songwriting. There's really catchy, hooky melodies, and loud guitars. I feel like it was the perfect album post-grunge for England. And it really blew up, and it blew them up, like, almost immediately. So you have Rock and Roll Star, Live Forever, you've got Columbia, Supersonic. I like all the weird stuff on this album, like Digsy's Dinner and Married with Children. Bring It On Down is great. Listen, it's a good album, and it really just sounds big. And it has that kind of thing where I can throw it on and just get into a mood from it. So in that sense, I don't think they have a better album than Definitely Maybe, but I do think they got really, really close with What's the Story Morning Glory. Some people consider this their best. It might be. I don't know if it's my favorite of the 2, but it's really damn good. We're listening to that now, by the way, in the Mario 64 sound font from the channel Samuel Strife. But What's the Story Morning Glory? I didn't know Definitely Maybe growing up. I only knew What's the Story. So obviously there's those songs I mentioned, but when I heard Some Might Say and Cast No Shadow and She's Electric, I was pretty hooked. So I do think this is an amazing album. Noel famously does not like the mixing on this album. I don't really hear it. I think it sounds good, but I also don't know what I'm talking about. I think every song on this album is good. I just think it has a little less of like some kind of like feeling than the first album. There's this like you could have a drink to the first album and walk like a. This album doesn't quite have that. But it's got Wonderwall on it, and that is one of the biggest songs of all time. In fact, there's a joke about the reunion about how like there's just going to be younger people that only know Wonderwall, and they're going to buy half the tickets, record Wonderwall on TikTok, and then leave. It's like, well, shit, maybe, but isn't this just what happens to everything? If that's even really a thing that happens, I don't know. Wonderwall is my least favorite song on this album, which is interesting because we're listening to that right now. But I do think the songwriting here is amazing, and I feel like it's just like Cast No Shadow in particular is just great. This is their last actual album before I think they started. It hit excess levels and overthinking levels, and it didn't quite just have the. It didn't have the same punch. But yeah, so 2 amazing albums back to back, and they were just massive in England. Then the Master Plan came out, which is actually a collection of B-sides. I think this is like one of their best albums. It's just under the 2 best ones for me. I really, really love this album. It might almost even be biblical. but Acquiesce, Underneath the Sky, Talk Tonight. A lot of these songs are from 94, 95, 97. And Oasis is one of those bands that has B-sides almost as good, if not better, than the album tracks and some of their singles. And Master Plan is that album. This is one of those albums that I think if you know Oasis only a little bit, you probably don't know this album, but it is definitely worth listening to. You have two of the songs that really got me into Oasis, and particularly Noel Gallagher and his songwriting. Even if they're simple, basic songs, I like that. I like a good melody. I like just a very, I don't know, something kind of elemental about his songwriting, even if it's basic at times. I love Talk Tonight. I love Half the World Away. I think those are two of their best songs ever. Master Plan is similar. Dave Grohl loves the Master Plan. In fact, Foo Fighters had that on before they went on when I saw them live. I thought that was cool. Acquiesce is a great track. I would really hope that they tour the US so I can see them do that one. You know, Listen Up is great. Underneath the Sky is great. I mean, there's a lot of great stuff here. Seriously, this is their other best album that not enough people know about. So then you have Be Here Now, which was their Cocaine album. I'm going to put it in the decent category. I really like this album when it's not so insane. And it is insane. It's a 70-minute album. Some of these songs are like... well, actually, no. It's 77 minutes. If you include... sorry, I'm looking on Wiki. No, it's 71 minutes. 77 with another track, like a demo. But some of these songs are like 7 minutes. 9 minutes. There's a reprise of one of the songs that does not need a reprise. This was the Cocaine and Excess album that actually probably ended their legendary run, but I still think it's great in a lot of ways. Well, maybe not great, but I think there's moments of greatness and then moments of just like pure excess. I like some of Do You Know What I Mean before it's, you know, repeats a million times. I like Stand By Me. I like some of All Around the World, even though now I associate that with a commercial. Be Here Now, the song itself is good. And then the rest of it, I can kind of give or take. I think some of it's okay. But it's just too much, too long. The songs just keep going and going and going. And Noel hates this album. Liam loves it. So go figure. But yeah, it's cool in short doses. But there's nothing short about this album. And I also think that Noel kind of resents this album a little bit because of the... what it did for the band, which is they kind of were on top of the world in a way at this time, and this was like the beginning of the end of that. After this album, the original lineup changed, and you know, things just got shaky and weird, but still worth a listen, and some people might like it more than others. Next one is Standing on the Shoulder of Giants, which is okay. I think it's pretty good at times. Fucking in the Bushes is fun. That was in, I think, a Guy Ritchie movie. I like Go Let It Out a lot. Gas Panic is really good. Let's see. Where Did It All Go Wrong is okay. And maybe a little confessional. But yeah, there's stuff on here that just doesn't really work for me. Who Feels Love is almost like, oh, we're going Beatle. By the way, we can't talk about Oasis without talking about the Beatles. There's a huge Beatle influence. I don't hear as much Beatle as people say there is, but obviously they were massive fans. The Who Feels Love song sounds like something George Harrison would have written, copied through a Xerox like 10 times, and then... But it's not it's not terrible. When I first heard it, I was like, "Oh, this is neat." Yeah, it's an okay album. It doesn't really do anything special, and I like a couple tracks on this as well, but nothing that blows me away. So I don't think it's outright bad. Then Heathen Chemistry, which is the album after this. Let's see what songs we got on here. Yeah, this one, oh god, this one borders on bad for me. I gotta be honest, I don't really care for this album that much. I'm not sure if I'm gonna put it in the bad category, but I will say, here's what I like on it. I used to like Stop Crying Your Heart Out, now I can't really get into it. I love Little by Little, and when Noel does that live, it's really good. That's a good song. Don't like Songbird that much. It's fine. Yeah, I'm gonna put this in the bad category. I don't care for it. Little by Little is probably the only song I come back to on this one. And yeah, you can tell, like... You can kind of tell that things weren't all that great here. They had the Andy Bell and the Gem Archer, the new band members, write some songs. And yeah, they're okay, but it's just very, very forgettable. So this was, I think this was, yeah, 2002. The next album of theirs, I actually really like. This was my first Oasis album that I bought, where I didn't just download the tracks. This one's Don't Believe the Truth, and I think it's a cool album. I think they kind of go back to basics a little bit, and just focus on the songwriting. I listened to this a lot during the summer of 2000, what year was it? 5. So this was a big summer album for me. In fact, I believe Oasis was on Staten Island, and they did like a show that I didn't go to, but yeah, no, this is good. Turn Up the Sun is a cool opener. Lila is a good, catchy single. Love Like a Bomb is a lot of fun. The Importance of Being Idle is great. Part of the Queue is great, even though it's just Mellow Gold, kind of redone. Guess God Thinks I'm Able is good. Let There Be Love is good. I mean, there's really nothing bad on the album. There's some stuff that's a little more forgettable, but I do think it is a good album. It's almost a return to form, and it has a lot of like great ideas on it, and some very, and it's 42 minutes. 11 songs, 42 minutes. It's not 12 songs, 71 minutes. So I like that. The brevity here is nice. Dig Out Your Soul is an interesting album. I think I'm going to put that in the good tier, but not as good as this one. This was their last album before they broke up. And it's a frustrating album because there's stuff here that I think, from what I understand, there was going to be more, but they rushed to finish it. The first 3 songs on this album, I think, are really, really good. I don't love Shock of the Lightning, which is their lead single. I think it's kind of annoying, honestly. It's fine, but mostly just annoying. Liam's song, I'm Out of Time, is okay. It's not bad. Falling Down is great. I really, really like that song. And then Soldier On's okay, but yeah, it's not, man, it's definitely somewhere between decent and good, but those first 3 songs in a row kind of bump it up to good for me. And I do feel like it has a lot of potential that could have made it better. It just, they didn't go there. So that's it for Oasis. They also released, you know, like a compilation that I had, Stop the Clocks. I did buy that one. And that was just, yeah, that's like their best tracks. And, you know, it's okay. It's a decent little compilation. See, is that even on here? No. But yeah, then there's also a bunch of B-sides from Oasis that are actually just not on any albums, and those are also really good. So, like I said, they had a pretty decent run, but they started way stronger than they ended. And if you take all of their best B-sides and put those on an album alongside Master Plan, you'd have another good one. So that's Oasis as a band. and I do think they're worth getting into, especially if you end up really digging those first 3 albums. And then there's a couple assorted things in there that are also good. So I'm assuming they're going to do some of that live, but like mostly just stick to the classics, you know. So let's see. Then there was BDI, which after they split, Liam started a band called BDI. And oh boy, I think I listened to it once, maybe. Let's see. They put out 2 albums. I have a theory that they named this band BDI because Liam wanted the band to be next to the Beatles in the record stores. Just a theory. So I did listen to the BDI album. I'm going to put it in decent, the first one, because I do like The Roller. And I like a couple other tracks on it. But, you know, Noel was the primary songwriter, so without him, it's just not the same. So, I don't think it's a particularly amazing album, but I do like a couple tracks on here. It's okay. And then their second album, I don't even remember if I've even listened to it, so I'm just going to put that in the don't know category. Let's see. Then if we go to, let's see, Liam Gallagher. His albums, I actually also do not know. Let's see. So, As You Were, his first album. You know, he's got a lot of writers on here, and I think the first one I listened to was decent. I like Paper Crown, Wall of Glass, Bold. Like, there's some... Again, it's not as substantive as Oasis, which is probably why Liam is now just doing mostly Oasis stuff live. But it's kind of okay. It's got a classic rock feel. It feels like Oasis light. And some people like these things. I don't. I just didn't really... You know, didn't really click for me. His other album, I don't know. I kind of just gave up. He's got an album literally called Come On You Know, which I also do not know. Come on down, come on you know. But it's more of the same stuff, just him with a bunch of writers trying to recapture some of the Oasis sound. I mean, apparently these albums are doing, like, they do well in all the music magazines, but it just passed me by entirely. So... I can't really speak much to it. That said, Noel Gallagher's stuff, I think, is great. His High Flying Birds stuff. So he formed a band called Noel Gallagher's High Flying Birds. I've seen them live twice. I really like them. Again, I understand that not everyone likes this stuff. I'm old. I'm getting older. I like some of these songs. I think they're pretty good. So his first record, I'm going to put in the great category. I'm serious, by the way. Everybody's on the Run is amazing. Dream On is amazing. If I Had a Gun is amazing. Death of You and Me. The only things that kind of sucks is Record Machine was an Oasis track and Stop the Clocks was an Oasis track. I feel like they didn't quite 100% come together, especially compared to the demos I've heard. And I think the lack of Liam's voice hurts those songs. So I don't think this album is better than Master Plan, but it is a good album. I think there's just the hangover of Oasis, and I think what he had been through, like, everything just kind of came together for this album. And I think it's 100% worth listening to if you haven't heard it. I love it. The next album of his might even be a little bit better. I'm not sure. Which is Chasing Yesterday. Riverman is awesome. Heat of the Moment is... I'm not really crazy about that one, actually. That's, like, I think his biggest song on Spotify, and I just don't get it. But it's catchy. Dying of the Light is one of his best tracks. The Right Stuff is good. You Know We Can't Go Back is good. The Ballad of the Mighty Eye is one of his best songs ever, in my opinion. So yeah, I don't think it's better maybe than his first solo record, but it's also, I'm going to put it in the great category. So yeah, as you can tell, I'm kind of unabashedly a fan of Noel Gallagher's writing and his work. And Liam, I like his voice when he was not doing damage to it. Before we move on, though, I'll mention that Liam, and again, for those that know Oasis really well, this is going to seem like everyone knows this, but his voice was best on the first two albums. And then the smoking, the drinking, and just this guttural, like, rasp he was doing really hurts the singing, in my opinion. I don't really love the way he sounds on anything from Shoulder of Giants to Dig Out Your Soul. Maybe a little bit better on Dig Out Your Soul, but he had some really rough years in there, and it just kind of kills some of the Oasis vibe for me. He's gotten better. I think he took lessons. He stopped doing, some of the stuff he was doing. Can't mention Oasis without drugs and alcohol, can we? But yeah, I think just singing-wise, he's in a better spot. I've heard some of his live stuff. He sounds not like he did when he was younger. No one can, but he sounds a lot like he has technique. It's a little clearer. It's a little cleaner, and it just sounds like he is able to hit the notes properly. So I do think the Oasis shows are going to be good. But, but Noel, I do like Noel Gallagher's voice a lot. I wouldn't say he's a better singer than Liam, and there are things that he kind of can't do. When Liam was able to do some really big rock and roll moments, we'll call them, Noel is able to just kind of sing the song in his own way. I like his voice. I like his tone. I don't think he ever sounded bad. And I think, especially on Don't Look Back in Anger, he sounds great. So, that's kind of, it's just a difference of, like, opinion with whose voice you like more. So, Who Built the Moon, I think, is a really cool album that there are people who just do not like this album. It was his next one. It took a couple years to make. I think it took, 3? It took a while because they went a little more experimental with this one. I think it's really good. I saw him live in support of this album, and while it's maybe not on the same level as his first two, there's some really fucking good songs. I love Holy Mountain, Beautiful World, Fort Knox is cool, even if it's got that annoying bell in it. Black and White Sunshine, Man Who Built the Moon. It's just a weird kind of, he's going a little more psychedelic. I think it works. And then there's also the song Dead in the Water, which may be one of his best acoustic songs of his entire career. And I think that's a song that now he does live, and it's great. So, yeah, just another solid album. There's some stuff here I don't really know. Let's see what's going on here. So he released some EPs, extended plays. Black Star Dancing, let's see. I have heard some of this, and honestly, I don't remember it, but I remember not liking it, so I'd almost probably put this in bad or don't know. I just don't know. I'm going to leave it in don't know, but I'm going to tell you, I don't like the single Black Star Dancing, and I do not remember the other two songs, and I just didn't continue listening to it. There's another thing here that I do not recognize. I don't know what this is, so I'm going to leave it in don't know. Council Skies is either in the good category or great. This is his most recent album. When this came out last year, I got into it a lot. Like, I really enjoyed listening to this album. Great opener track. I'm Not Giving Up Tonight. The single, Pretty Boy's good. Dead to the World is incredible. Open the Door, See What You Find is great. I'm a little biased because I heard a good chunk of these songs live, and they're really good live. Easy Now is like an Oasis song, like a lost Oasis song. I don't love the title track, Council Skies. It's okay. There She Blows is good. Love Is a Rich Man is really good. Think of a Number is great. I mean, this is also Noel Gallagher going through some shit and also thinking back to his childhood, it seems. I do think it's worth, if you're a fan of either of the Oasis things or Noel, this borders on good or great. I'm almost tempted to make a new category called Grud. And I'm going to throw that in there. Yeah, so that's in the Grud category. So anyway, that's what I think. It's weird how you can start a career with two of your best works ever and just not quite get to that level again. But in an interview, I think Noel said there was something about he wasn't trying to write an album and he wasn't trying to be anything and he was just writing whatever. And love him or hate him, these albums, these songs, that, you know, the feuding in the press, the whatever, the stories, the sex and the drugs. I don't know if there was sex. I doubt it. But but it fucking made them one of the biggest bands in the world very, very quickly. They didn't even really do very many shows before they became huge. And to me, personally, when you go into Oasis without any of that baggage, without the media stuff, and without them saying stupid shit like George Harrison is a nipple, and they're the best band in the world and all this stuff, which, by the way, make no mistake, they've mellowed a lot, but Noel knew what he was doing. Liam was just saying whatever the fuck he wanted, and that dude was just wild. But Noel knew how to play the press, and if you know how to play the press, you can get a lot of coverage. And they were, for years, just constantly being talked about. And I think that was part of it. Whether or not that was exactly the plan, it's just how it happened. But genuinely, if you just hear this music in a vacuum, unrelated to all the drama of Oasis and all of the you know, people kind of laughing about Oasis or saying they're too famous, or if you're in the US, people being like, why do you like Oasis? They're kind of lame. I think there's great songs, and I think the singing can really work for a lot of people. I know people who hate Liam's voice, like kind of like a Billy Corgan kind of thing, love or hate. But for me, it's just solid, catchy songs with really good hooks and loud guitars. And that's why they were able to sell out stadiums now with this reunion, I think. And yeah, so are they the best band? No. Are they bigger than the Beatles, better than the Beatles? No. But I'm happy that they have reunited, and I've said this on my stream, but like, it's gonna sound so dumb. I'm just kind of happy because they're two brothers, and it's nice to see them reconnect. And even if one's a potato, you know, it's nice to see them reconnect. I hope their mother is happy. That would be nice. And I hope that they continue to stay together for these shows and don't like punch each other in the face or kill each other before the shows even happen. So yeah, I mean, in terms of my favorite bands of all time, Oasis isn't like in my top 10 really. And I kind of maybe like Blur a little bit more, but there is a feeling when I was going to work at like a bank 15 years ago and I was really getting into some of this music, it kind of does make you feel like Supersonic or Live Forever, whatever. It's, you know, you go out and have a drink with the lads and Live Forever's playing loud. That's what you want to hear. You know, it just kind of hits these like these bass instinct correct notes, and for that they continue to have millions of fans and people still come to them. They've got one of the biggest rock singles of all time, which is Wonderwall, which surprised even them. And, you know, I think they're great. I also think they kind of did rip off some music. But when you see how few chords there are in the world, And you know, when you think about even the best of the best still kind of borrowing by accident or even on purpose, I'm not really surprised it happened. I don't condone it by any means, but you know, music is what it is, and if it comes to you and it sounds like another thing, you have the choice. Do I go with it or do I stop? And I guess they didn't stop. So there's that discussion that I won't have fully right now, but yeah, I guess that's really it. I don't know if there's anything else to talk about. So thanks for listening. I like Blur, you know, from that time. I like Pulp. There's like the whole Britpop thing. Primal Scream. I do love the Stone Roses, by the way. I think they're great. That's another band to check out. Their first album is immaculate. And, you know, there's a lot of good music from the early 90s in Britain that is worth checking out. And then it kind of morphs into Radiohead, which I love, and Coldplay, which, you know, whatever that is. They have a couple good songs. I like a couple of their albums. But yeah, anyway. All right, gonna go. Thank you for listening, and good luck to anybody who got tickets, and enjoy watching them do a Battle Royale cage match on stage in Wembley. Goodbye.